Estuary News, I'm Luke Adams. In the headlines tonight, a retired vicar is sentenced to 12 years in prison for historic sex offences. Police combat crime on Hull's Great Thornton Street estate and Beverley in Bloom. And later in tonight's programme, Fred brings us a roundup of the local art scene. Before that, Matthew, Patrick and Brian Marsh tell me about a community event in Grimsby. But first tonight, a retired vicar from East Yorkshire has been sentenced to 12 years in prison. The Reverend Canon Terence Grigg, who's 84, was a former rector at St Mary's Church in Cottingham. He was found guilty at Hull Crown Court yesterday of 14 counts of indecent and serious sexual assault. He denied the charges. The Crown Prosecution Service says Grigg abused his position of trust and authority to exploit his victims, who were just 10 years old, for his own sexual gratification. The offences date back to the 80s and 90s. Homicide Police says it's been carrying out work on the Great Thornton Street estates in Hull. More than 100 hours of police patrols have been conducted on the estate to combat drug dealing, violent crime and criminal activity. More than 200 stop checks have been conducted and 10 arrests made. The force says they are working closely with the local authority to make the estate a better place to live and keep people safe. Hull's Ferrens Art Gallery and the Deeb have been named as some of the most visited attractions in the country. Visit England's annual attractions survey has revealed that Yorkshire had the greatest rise in visitor numbers last year. The gallery attracted 519,000 visitors, while the Deeb saw 970,000 visitors in 2017, a 12.9% increase on 2016. Britain in Bloom judges descended on Beverley yesterday to judge the town's floral displays. The town is in the national finals of the championship. Helen Watson of Beverley Town Council says the competition brings out the best in the community.
It's been a very busy year for Beverley and Bloom. Obviously, being in the national finals, it's a complete change to being in the regionals, which we've been in before, and it's been a fantastic journey. We've learnt so much over the time, and we've met some lovely people, and we've really grown as a community. So, and we're overwhelmed just to be in the finals, basically. It's very similar, but on a larger scale. It's still obviously the RHS initiative and the campaign, and it's an ongoing year-round campaign. One must remember, it's not just about flowers, it's about litter picking, it's about the environment, and it's about all sorts of things to make your town look beautiful. It's really more a bit like a town audit, really. But I know this year we've really pushed out our boundaries with it. We've planted over 8,000 plants, we've got over 300 containers, and then we've got other various parks and gardens along the way, and nature areas on the Beckside and this beautiful Minster area. So basically, we've really worked hard all year to do this, and the 3 hours that you get to show the judges around is never enough. That's all I can say. Because I mean, actually, when you look at the RHS campaign, it's about horticulture. So there's 50 marks for horticulture, there's 50 marks for the environment and the heritage, and there's 50 marks for the actual community. And the community for us in Beverley is the biggest part of it, because if we didn't have these people that came forward, we only have £3,000 to do all what we do with. If we didn't have the people coming forward to do it and do all the work and do all the deadheading and the litter picking and come up with the great ideas and the planting schemes, and if it wasn't for the people that sponsored over the years as well, we wouldn't be where we were. So, you know, it really does make Beverley, really, the community.
Speeding motorists in East Yorkshire could soon be caught on camera by members of the public. Homicide Police are deciding whether to adopt a scheme being used in Lincolnshire, where volunteers have been trained to use speed guns. A community speed watch group was set up in Thornton Curtis earlier this year after residents raised concerns that motorists were driving too fast through the village. We spoke to Graham Thomas, one of the volunteers, when the pilot scheme was launched, and he told us he hopes the group will encourage motorists to drive more carefully.
I personally feel that we're in a small village with narrow roads, and as you can see yourself, there are bends that go through the village, and cars still come through at quite a speed. I've not been able to say what that speed is, but now having done this training, we're able to see what speed they're actually doing. At about 8 o'clock each morning, we have 4 school buses sat here on the little crossroads in the village, and there isn't anywhere for them to park, and of course children are crossing the roads to catch whichever bus they're going to catch. And the cars don't slow down, and dare I say it, neither do the lorries. So it can be quite scary for them in the morning.
They're mature enough to know that homicide police simply don't have the resources to be here all of the time. because, compared to the larger urban areas, I guess that it's a smaller problem. So what we were looking for was a different level of intervention. And we'd heard of Community Speedwatch, this idea of getting members of the community trained up to go out on the streets and be a visible presence, a visible deterrent to speeding motorists, and also to collect data on behalf of Humberside Police. So it was very much a drive from the local residents themselves, and it's my role as a ward councillor to try and bring the various partners together to make that drive happen.
Well, obviously we hope that Thornton Curtis will be safer as a result of this, through fewer cars speeding through the village, but I also hope it shows a community that the services that should be there to support them are listening to them and doing what they can to empower those communities to look after themselves, rather than services which are being cut all of the time, having to do everything. It's sometimes the case that we can get more done if we just support people and communities to do things for themselves.
Hopefully, if it all goes well and all the analysis prove that it has worked, then it could roll out right across the county, so on a regular basis. So you could see more of this face in the village with his camera.
Hull Truck Theatre is in the running for a prestigious award. The venue is competing to be named Most Welcoming Theatre of the Year. It allows audiences to celebrate their local theatre and for venues to highlight the work they do all year round. The theatre saw an unprecedented growth in its productions during City of Culture. Daniel McLaughlin is the box office sales manager at the venue and says they would be a worthy winner.
This award would mean a lot. We were previously nominated and won in 2016, so to build on that, especially after the UK City of Culture, would be tremendous. It recognises obviously the hard work that we've put in as a theatre in terms of inclusivity and being more accessible, but also our great customer service as well, and that's recognised regionally and nationally. And we had 88,000 people come through our doors last year alone. 97% of UK postcodes, people in UK postcodes attended the theatre last year. We're doing things at the moment like a technical skills programme that engages people who don't know how to get into the industry at all, let alone, where to go for these opportunities. And we do things like pay what you can performances, so that if people want to try something new or can't necessarily afford a full price ticket or just want to take a bit of a risk, they can pay anything from £1 a ticket for the first night of our Hull Truck Theatre productions. And I think it's just, it's really engaging in terms of confidence building, socialisation, but also obviously being able to experience other people's experiences and what's on stage as well.
The fourth Willesby Woods Fete takes place in Grimsby next week. Matthew Patrick and Brian Marsh join me now to tell me what's in store. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the programme. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. First of all, Matthew, when is this fete actually taking place?
Well, Luke, it's going to be a week on Sunday. That's the 19th of August, and we're opening up around midday, and all are welcome.
And obviously it's at Willesby Woods in Grimsby.
Absolutely.
What can people expect from the event? What can people expect from the day?
Well, it's going to be a huge day, as it has been the past 3 years previous. We've got some 40 stalls actually going to be available, selling all sorts of things and hosting a number of games. A traditional tombola and raffle prizes are going to be there. And we're even going to have a Spitfire fly past on the day.
I believe that's one of the highlights.
One of the highlights, definitely.
How did that come about? Did that take a lot of organising?
Through contacts at the RAF.
Okay.
The organiser of the event, Ella Rush, is very persistent. She's got some good friends and she wouldn't take no for an answer, and we're very good to have them.
And of course, big year for the RAF this year.
Fantastic.
Now, Matthew, all the money raised from this event is going to support the hydrotherapy pool in Humberston. Why have you chosen to support that particular charity this year?
In particular for all the fantastic work they actually do. Brian actually came to one of our meetings at Friends Wound Wheelsby, explained all the fantastic work that they do in the area and how they're completely funded and dependent on donations from the generous community. And we heard about the fantastic work they did. We all had a vote and decided overwhelmingly that Brian's charity was well worth every penny.
Brian, how much money is needed per year to run the hydrotherapy pool?
It costs us somewhere between £30,000 and £40,000 a year. That is completely for the running and operational costs.
So that doesn't go to any particular, people who work there. That's just to run the facility
That's just the running costs. The pool is owned by everybody who has donated. It's built at the school for the school to operate it for their children.
Okay. And it's used by outside organisations as well, I believe. Sense use the pool as well, is that correct?
Sense at Louth use the pool, and primarily it's for the children at the school. There are over 120 children using it. And over the years it's been open, thousands of children have benefited from the hydrotherapy pool.
So it's very worthy in the community.
Oh, it is indeed an essential.
And speaking about community, Matthew, how great is this event for the local community?
Absolutely fantastic, Luke. I'd say there's at least a couple of thousand visitors we actually get to the area throughout the day. A lot of local parents tell us they definitely look out for it and ask us, well, what day in particular is it going to be happening, and asking about stalls there as well. So it brings other small groups together as well to set themselves out. So it really does bring people together on the day, and it's a good way to end the summer holidays.
How many people roughly turn up?
Usually about 1,000 to 2,000, actually say. It's difficult to gauge the number because people come in for an hour, 2 hours, but it's always jam-packed and everyone has a great time.
Okay. Now, Matthew, you came on the Surfer a few months ago to talk about your appeal to raise £10,000 for Willesby Woods. How is that campaign going?
Very well. The Friends of Willesby Woods group, not speaking of community friends around Willesby, they've actually looking at getting themselves making themselves a properly constituted group. They've got plans to actually try to get a reinstalled footpath around the back of the woods as well, which would be really good for walkers, especially for those who do struggle, say the elderly or those in wheelchairs, to make the woods much more accessible. They're a fantastic group, and all volunteers who want to come forward to support them are welcome.
It's a great park, and I hope it gets well used. Sunday the 19th of August, I wish you all the best with the event. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Luke.
Join me after the break when Jack brings us all the latest sports news and Fred has a roundup of the latest cultural news. Welcome back, you're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Jack has all the latest sports news and Fred joins me to bring me a roundup of the local arts scene. North East Lincolnshire Council has seized hoverboards after they were found to be dangerously unsafe. The products, imported from outside the EU, failed to meet basic safety requirements. The internal structure of the boards were poor and faults with electrical parts. Several of the required markings on the products were missing, along with the manufacturer's details, CE mark and instructions. A total of 500 hoverboards were seized by the local authority. And North East Lincolnshire Council is launching a new scheme to help people get rid of their household junk. Skip It is a 3-month pilot where residents can dispose of unwanted household items such as furniture, garden clippings and small electrical items. Temporary collection points will be set up for a day in each of the borough's 15 wards until October. There will be 2 large skips, 2 vans for white goods and a vehicle for garden waste. Residents will also be able to pick up recycling boxes. The first Skip It Day is on the 20th of August at Grimsby Auditorium Car Park on Cromwell Road. Councils across Greater Lincolnshire are said to be disappointed after they missed out on a £1 billion share of social housing support. The government announced the funding last year to help build a new generation of council houses across the county. Only Boston Borough Council is now eligible for the funding. However, South Kesteven District Council says they are working on 2 schemes as part of a 5-year delivery housing programme. The secrets of Grimsby's lost trawlers will be told as part of an exhibition. Between 2014 and 2018, shipwrecks of the River Humber have been diving the wrecks of Grimsby vessels lost during World War I and researching the stories behind the vessels and their crews. More than 300 Grimsby vessels were lost during the Great War and around 1,200 men lost their lives. The exhibition tells the stories of those vessels along with objects recovered from the wrecks. The exhibition runs from the 18th of August until January at the Grimsby Fishing Heritage Centre. An international volleyball festival takes place in Bridlington this weekend. The resort will be the sole host for the 2018 Co-Confederation of European Volleyball Beach Volleyball Festival. Activities include taster sessions, a world record attempt at the biggest game of beach volleyball and a bungee run. There will also be a giant inflatable volleyball court. Jake Sheaf, one half of England's #1 ranked beach volleyball team, will be playing at the event. He has achieved 4 European medals and 5 national titles. The festival will be at Bridlington's Southcliffe Beach on Saturday and Sunday. And I'm joined now by Fred with a roundup of what's happening on the local arts scene. Good evening, Fred. Welcome to the programme. Always a pleasure to have you as one of my
Hello, Luke, and
guests.
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. What is your first item?
Well, first one is just a little refresher of something that's been going on since July. The 6th exhibition at Humber Street Gallery is still going on. Measures of Life, a digital-themed exhibition. An exhibition that asks questions about how our lives are lived nowadays with so many digital enhancements, as it were.
Pressures as well.
Indeed, yes. It's a very multimedia, interactive sounding experience. That's going on until the 30th of September, as I say, at Humber Street Gallery, their 6th exhibition.
Okay, so there's still quite a bit of time for people to go see
Indeed,
that exhibition
yes.
and ponder life.
Definitely. It sounds like something that will spark those kind of conversations.
Absolutely. What else have we got, Fred? What else is happening?
We have the Lincoln 1940s weekend, and that's taking place Saturday, the 11th of August, and that's going to feature all manners of living history displays, live music and dance, food and drink, family activities, all sorts of things. And that's going to be, or there's also going to be some flyovers from some famous aircraft, the Lancaster, Dakota and Spitfire. They'll all be flying over. It's across 2 days actually, Saturday 11th of August and Sunday 12th of August, the following day.
So that's this weekend.
This indeed,
That's this
yes.
weekend. Okay, how time flies. 1940s is a great period, a great era.
They
and I love
are.
all the fashion and the music from that decade.
Indeed,
It's
very
very
nostalgic,
nostalgic indeed.
And interesting how that era in particular triggers that kind of nostalgia, isn't it? More so than other eras, perhaps.
Absolutely, absolutely. Maybe the 50s and 60s as well, though. A very different decade, of course.
Yes.
But yeah, we're stepping back in time a lot there, Fred, before mine and your time, I think.
Clearly, yes, we're both baby boomers, clearly.
Yes. What else have you found?
Well, Contain Strong Language, that's coming back to Hull, the literary festival. That's going to happen in late September. Don't know specific dates as of yet, but they'll be released as and when. But that's in partnership with Absolutely Cultured, and they're delighted to be partnering with BBC and Wrecking Ball Press to deliver another, hopefully astoundingly good festival of local, national, international poets, spoken word artists, comedians and musicians, all performing, well, the beauty of the word,
Something
as it
to
were.
suit everybody. And of course, Absolutely Cultured, as we know, is the new City of Culture
Yes.
brand organisation.
As it were,
And
yes.
the Domino's event is happening in the city centre
Yes.
this weekend, which we covered earlier this week, of course.
Indeed, that
on
should
the
be a
news
laugh.
programme.
That was great to see all that test run of dominoes. Just a few dominoes, but great to see, well, one falling off the edge of the whole City Hall balcony. That was great
Did
fun.
you manage to have a go with knocking over some of the dominoes, Fred?
No, well, gosh, I'm thankful I didn't manage to actually knock them over by mistake, because you had to keep weaving in and out of the exhibition to keep interviewing people and talking to everyone from one side of the balcony to another, and I was just petrified. I might accidentally brush one of the breeze blocks and just cause mayhem. But thankfully I didn't.
It sounds like it would be a great spectacle. And it's
Yeah.
great that the City of Culture volunteers are still involved with some of these activities, because
Yeah,
I know
that's
they've
really
been
good to see.
frantically helping to get these dominoes ready for Saturday. So I
Indeed.
hope it's a great event.
Yeah.
Got a couple more items, I believe, Fred?
Yes, I have one more lying around. Oh yes, the So Festival.
Oh,
That's-
yes.
Yes, that's coming to Skegness on the 31st of August, and then, yes, on September the 1st and the 2nd. And that's a spectacular Italian vertical acrobatic festival.
Yes.
So all manners of weird and wonderful things going on there.
It sounds like there'll be lots of spectacular displays of acrobatics, which I wouldn't ever be able to manage.
No, neither would I. But the kind of thing you'd just be fascinated to
Yes.
watch
Good
the
to be a
human body be
spectator.
put through.
Good to be a spectator of the show.
Definitely, yes.
Fred, before we do a couple of my items, I believe you've been very busy working on Captain Scarlet and the
Oh, yes.
Mysterons. How is that progressing?
Well, the book's going well. Yes, Spectrum is Indestructible is about 99% complete of its second draft. It's quite exciting, but once that's done, it shan't still be ready, I'm afraid, but for a very good reason, because I've recently managed to track down a variety of crew members who worked on the show itself, and I'm going to be
Fantastic.
interviewing them for the book. I reached out to them, and to my surprise, Snowden got back saying, yes, I'd love to be involved. So I'm just gearing up for that and waiting for their answers.
And then it'll be on the shelves, hopefully, in time for the festive season.
Hopefully, yes, that would be ideal.
Okay, I wish you all the best
That's
with
the
that.
rough plan. Thank
Just
you.
very quickly from me, Fred, at the Embassy Theatre in Skegness next Friday at 7:30,
Mm-hmm.
Barry Steele and friends tell the story of Roy Orbison. Are you a fan of Roy Orbison?
Oh, do you know, I think I'm not. That's one of those 70s figures who I'm actually not.
Great
got my-
singer,
my
fantastic
records of.
voice, and of course he had those great hits, I Drove All Night, In Dreams, Only
Yes.
the Lonely, and Oh Pretty Woman.
Very
of
distinctive
course, from
kind
the
of
film
artist,
Pretty
though, isn't
Woman.
he? Yeah.
He's a very distinctive artist, very distinctive artist. And Magic of Motown, 18th of August, 7:30, also at the Embassy Theatre. Fred, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Luke.
Now, here's Jack with all the sports news.
It's transfer deadline day today as football clubs across the country scramble to get players in and out before the deadline. Well, I can confirm there's been a departure from Hull City this afternoon. Young goalkeeper Will Mannion has left the club. He's joined non-league side Aldershot Town on loan deal till January. The 20-year-old has seen first-team opportunities limited at the Tigers and moves to the Shots in order to get regular games to help with his progression. In terms of incomings at City, it appears Hull fans will be left disappointed though. In his press conference earlier today, head coach Nigel Adkins rubbished talk of Lee Cattermole joining the club. The Tigers have been linked with the move for the Sunderland midfielder, but Adkins said he's not expecting to do any business at all today. On to Scunthorpe United news now, and Nick Dawes refused to be drawn on reports that winger Dwayne Holmes is about to leave the club. The 23-year-old has been heavily linked with a number of Championship clubs over the window. Derby County are believed to have had a bid accepted by the Iron, with the player expected to undergo a medical, according to one news website. It would be a huge blow to the club if he left, especially with such little time to find an adequate permanent replacement. Meanwhile, Grimsby Town manager Michael Jolly has been speaking about whether the club will be making any signings today. The Mariners boss has so far made a total of 10 signings during the summer window, and he was tight-lipped on any potential activity that may take place today.
There's nothing concrete to report. We've been working hard for a long period of time on a number of different areas. It's possible something may happen, but it's also possible something may not happen. And of course, if that's the case, then that would close the door on permanent transfers for this window. I think we've signed 10 players altogether during the course of the window, so it's not like we've done no business. And we can still loan players until the end of August, so the possibility to bring people in on loan still remains open. And indeed, there's still the possibility to sign free agents beyond today as well.
Although the window for permanent signings shuts at 5 o'clock this afternoon, deals sometimes aren't announced until later on in the evening. So as always, there's still hope for fans of our region's clubs. That's all for today's sport. Back to Luke in the studio.
Thanks very much, Jack. That's it for tonight. My thanks to Fred, Brian and Matthew for joining me on the sofa. If you have a news story, then please visit our Facebook or Twitter pages. Details on the screen as I speak. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31 553. Write to us at the usual address, Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceborough, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN345BQ. We look forward to hearing from you. Until tomorrow, from all of us on the team, have a great Thursday evening. Good night.